Welcome back. Today I'm starting our holiday decorating. I always like to start early so I can give each space I'm decorating a good clean. It's ready, it's done for all of December, and taking it slow allows us to really enjoy it as a family, especially a young family. I'm also getting together a few little decorations and activities that are for my kids, really traditions that help them learn a little bit more about the true meaning of Christmas. And it wouldn't be the holidays without baking a few delicious treats, and I've got one delicious dinner too. I hope you enjoy this cozy holiday kickoff. Maybe you can have it in the background as you're decorating, and if you enjoy it, please don't forget to like and subscribe to follow along for all the festive fun coming up. First on the list is dehydrating oranges, so we can scatter them around the house as decorations. They add a pop of color, they pair beautifully with almost anything red, and best of all, they are super inexpensive. They spend nearly half the day in an oven. That's the only downside. You just need to give them a flip every 30 minutes. But that also means it's the perfect project to have going in the background while you start to decorate. It also gives Dad plenty of time to enjoy his favorite job of hauling all the boxes down from the attic. Just slice the oranges as thin as you can, pat them dry to remove extra moisture, and pop them into a 200-degree oven. Unpacking decorations almost feels like Christmas morning for the boys. I always tuck away a few Christmas toys with the decor, so when we pull out everything each year, it's like they're discovering brand new treasures. They get their box first, and thankfully it keeps them entertained long enough for me to start some decorating, because let's be honest, they're not exactly helpful yet. This little train goes around the tree, but not until after they've played with it long enough to get a little bit tired of it. I always start decorating in the kitchen if I can. It's my favorite place in the house besides my bed. I try not to overdo the counter since I really use that space a lot, but a few simple touches go a long way. These little berry decorations, I guess, from Michael's are super affordable and add a nice pop of color without creating much clutter. And then there's the oven hood. Its height lets it go embarrassingly long without proper cleaning. Starting early is exactly why I love this whole process though. I'm not rushing, I get the chance to give some love to these hidden corners of the house that rarely get attention. Plus, once it's cleaned, I don't have to think about it again until all this decor comes down. I always feel like the living room gets so much attention with the decorations that an open kitchen concept can kind of make the kitchen look really bare by comparison. So last year I started adding garland to the top of my cabinets, and I love the difference it makes. It's kind of hard for you guys to see in videos, but it really makes a difference in person. It warms up the whole kitchen without stealing any of the counter space or tempting the boys with little things they definitely want to try to break. I have one command hook up there that I was able to get to stick, and just use a few pieces of double-sided 3M tape to keep everything in place. Lots of fluffing is key, and a nice wreath in the center really finishes it off. The wreath I used here kept falling off though, and the command strips just wouldn't hold it for some reason, so this year I'm putting a nail up there and going to hang a real wreath with a ribbon once the Christmas tree farm's open. I don't love the brown ribbon anyway, so that's going back. I'm always going to be a red for Christmas kind of girl. Who else is like that? I hang these cute little red berry wreaths that I found at Target one year in our breakfast nook window. It really brightens up the space and gives it a little bit of color in the holiday. But of course, everything has to get a good clean first. My little guy loves cleaning right now, so he grabbed his own cloth to join in on the fun. Not the right cloth, but you know, so cute. I hang the wreaths using ribbon and a simple suction cup hook that you can hardly see up there. One had fallen last year, it wasn't properly fixed, so I just take care of that with some tape and they're all even again. It also gives me the chance to show this couch some much needed attention, and the boys are thrilled. I don't know why I don't do this more often, because anything that involves cushions coming off couches or bedding ending up in the floor is absolute paradise for them. We used to eat in this nook a lot, and one of these days I'm going to finally pull out the upholstery vacuum and give it a real clean. Definitely going to be a New Year goal. Well, it was a lovely morning decorating. Again, like, didn't get too much done, but enough, and we'll do a little bit at a time so it's enjoyable. Now I'm gonna work on a Christmas wreath cake. These are so festive and fun, great for the holidays, even would be great for Thanksgiving too. This is made with yeast, but I've also got a sourdough one I'm gonna do here soon too. I feel like cinnamon rolls are so popular in America, but this is a nice way to make it a little bit more festive. When I lived in Denmark, people made this all the time and I loved it. But it's pretty much cinnamon rolls made into a wreath. Feel free to use whatever cinnamon roll recipe you love the most. I start by just activating the yeast with some warm water and a little sugar, then mix in the remaining sugar, salt, an egg, and melted but hopefully cold butter. The flour goes in last, and I'm not sharing this particular recipe because, well, I'm just not loving it. Can't tell if my milk or butter was still a bit too warm and ended up, killing the yeast, or if I mismeasured the flour. But note to self, always pre-measure, because keeping track on a scale while mixing is basically impossible. And I know for a fact my KitchenAid and dough hook would have done a much better job than I. But I'm sharing the process anyway because things don't have to turn out perfect to be enjoyed. Same goes for decorating. The only way we grow is by trying, and sometimes that involves failures or things not turning out to look quite like the picture we had in our head. I've really been leaning into that mindset this year, and it's helped me to start letting go of perfection, not letting small failures really derail my day or my mood. Staying in comfortable, safe zones keeps us from stretching and honestly ends up adding more anxiety because of the fear of going outside of that. And at the end of the day, God is the one who gives us real peace, not the perfect cinnamon wreath or the perfect decor. Our outcomes shouldn't get to decide our mood. It's a journey, and today feels like one of those gentle reminders or tests along the way. For our advent candles, I want to reuse this ball I already have, and I found this really affordable insert on Amazon that fits perfectly. I'll link if you're interested. It should work in most pedestal or standing bowls. I planned big, but it has to be pretty large, I would say. I think there are different sizes. In my head, I had planned to insert this fake cedar that I already had, since real cedar kind of feels too risky, but this fake one had like this really strong industrial strength metal running through it, so I can't cut it without our wire cutters, which are currently missing, of course. So for now, I'm just tucking some of these winter pine cones back around it, and I'll figure out a better solution, but at least it's usable come December 1st. Advent candles symbolize the growing light of Jesus entering the world as Christmas approaches, and the evergreen circle around them represents eternal life, and these pine cones just really aren't given the same meaning, so I need to find a solution there. I'm trying to be more intentional this year about filling our Christmas season with a little bit less Santa-centered traditions and some more Christ-centered ones. I honestly am starting to feel a little bit conflicted about Santa the more I've thought about it as my boy gets older. It's so magical, and I have the sweetest memories from my own childhood, but it also asks kids to believe in something unseen. One day they will realize it isn't true. Part of me worries that could undermine the faith I'm encouraging and things that matter so much more. If anyone else has wrestled with this tension, I'd love to hear your thoughts and how you transition, but let's see, we're going with Santa this year. Back to the cinnamon wreath that has risen. After you roll it out and put the butter, sugar, cinnamon mixture on top of it, remember to leave an even wider edge than normal, like for a normal cinnamon roll, so you can really seal it really well. I didn't do a great job at this, and I think even next time I'm going to put the butter mixture in the fridge for a little bit so it firms up, and that way it doesn't run out as much. I shape the wreath. I keep the cut side up as much as possible as you're twisting it into a circle. I ended up spooning the extra filling on top because, well, that just can't be wasted, so it's not the prettiest, but a little dusting of sugared powder fixes almost anything. It turned out a little dense because of the problems I mentioned before, but still super delicious. I'm pretty sure it was the yeast issue, but lesson learned, and the boys don't mind one bit. I just really gotta try this. Everyone's outside, so I'll enjoy it myself. Ho ho ho! It's pretty warm today, so putting up a tree feels a little strange, but my little guy will not stop talking about it, and now I can finally lower my curtain again. My littlest always tries to yank on it, so we've had to tie it up, but it bothers me all the time. Once the lights go on, I'm reminded why I love this so much. Christmas lights just change the whole feeling of a home. Maybe one day I'll go back to those colored lights. There's a feeling in me that says we want to do that, and I'll probably do it once the lights on this tree go out. I love this tree so much. My mom found it when she was moving into her house, and we needed one too when we moved in, so I immediately bought one. The ornaments hang so nicely with the extra space between the branches. I find a lot don't have that extra space, and it's hard to get the ornaments in nicely. I'm making a delicious apple tart using marzipan, an ingredient I feel is very underused here in America. I start by sifting almond flour and powdered sugar together. After a few minutes, I realized the best method is actually just giving it a little bang inside the bowl to help everything pass through quickly, but that's the hardest part about making the marzipan yourself. It's a little hard to find, and it tastes so much better when you take the time to make it yourself. I mix in some almond extract, then afterwards egg white until a soft dough forms. It's so simple. Just roll it up, wrap it in cling wrap, and you can keep it in the fridge for I think about a month or 6 months in the freezer. I always let it come to room temperature before using, so here I'm just grabbing what I need for those apple tarts. For the tart base, I whisk together sugar, flour, and 2 eggs, whisk that into the marzipan, and then scoop the mixture into muffin tins. That's it. It's really, really easy. The apples, which are a little bit the hard part, are thinly sliced. You could use a mandolin and speed that up, but careful knife work works too. And then arrange in this rose-like pattern by spreading them out and tucking them in. I only take the time to do such things usually during Christmas or for birthdays, and it's so much fun when I get the chance to do it. They bake for around 30 to 35 minutes depending on your muffin size and come out perfectly golden brown, a little crispy around the edges, which is so nice. A light dusting of powdered sugar finishes them off beautifully. Dinner tonight is the perfect one for decorating. I can do it a bit at a time and check on it while I work on the decorations. It's Italian Penicillin, so you know it's good for all the colds floating around this season. I start with bone-in chicken thighs with the skin on, one of the cheapest but also the most flavorful part of the chicken, I think. They get crispy first while I move on to the garland. I found some zip ties that work best to secure it, and I just cover it with this beautiful green ribbon. Poor guy loves being held, but that garland's itchy. Mixing is definitely a much better activity. This dish, I feel, is like a twist on a classic chicken noodle soup. There are a few ways to make it. You can cut the vegetables large and blend them all after cooking, but I like to leave some whole, so I'm cutting them into smaller pieces, and that also helps them cook in the chicken fat, which brings out a ton of flavor along with the garlic too. I have Parmesan rind, a bay leaf, and 4 cups about of bone broth to simmer with the lid on until the vegetables are real tender. I take most of the meat off the bone and I'll toss the bones back in to let that simmer and give some flavor too. After that's boiled for about 15 minutes or the vegetables are nice and cooked, the Parmesan rind, bay leaf, and bones are removed. I take some of the vegetables out, blend it, and put it back in to make the soup nice and creamy. I recently heard about how very hot foods put into plastic blenders, which makes sense, can leach chemicals. So I can't look at mine the same as I used to. Swapping out healthier options in the kitchen, but a stainless steel blender just isn't at the top of the list yet. And I think next time I'll just use the immersion blender because I think something like this is not that important that it gets super smooth. And to make this more like a soup, you can completely cook the pastina as pasta on the side. It's just very small pieces of pasta. I have a baby who isn't quite ready for soups yet, and I like to cook the pasta directly in the bone broth so he gets all those nutrients. It's a little bit more effort and time to turn it into more like a porridge style meal, but worth it. Totally optional though, you could cook the pasta alongside the soup and be done in no time. The pastina takes about 15 to 20 minutes to cook in the broth, and I just add more broth as I go to make sure it doesn't stick. Once it's done, the chicken goes back in and it's a delicious, healthy, savory meal, perfect for dinner and enough for lunch the next day, even better. And I almost forgot to mention this beautiful countdown candle that I found on Amazon, my best find this year. I love the tradition of lighting it every day, and the numbers are evenly printed on it. I just fumbled a bit when putting it into this gorgeous holder that comes with it. Finding a beautiful version of this is surprisingly hard in America, so I'm thrilled to have it this year. With the baby sleeping in, we get a little quiet time by the cozy fireplace, stringing the oranges onto a ribbon to go on our oven hood. I love the way the orange and the red goes together. It's just perfect for the kitchen. A few days later, I can finally finish off the garland with the beautiful bows and oranges. The key to a good bow is to tie it the opposite way around, not around the front like you would tie like your shoe, but to go backwards and around the loop and pull it through. I took a needle and tied it to this fishing wire and brought it through the oranges to make a garland go into this. They still smell so good. It takes a little time to weave these into the garland and just keep the end string tied to something so they don't fall off because they easily slip off the end. That's the only thing to keep in mind. I love how it turned out for practically no money. Well, now our house and kitchen is full of cozy smells, twinkling lights, and warm greenery. Still got a little bit more to do, but thanks for joining me, and don't forget to follow along for more Christmas festivities. Take care.